What is up, you guys? This is Art Post Cove, and I am Izaya Perrier, your host, and this is a podcast. Hello, welcome. I've been missing for a little bit. If you know me beforehand, if not, this all makes no sense to you. Well, to be quite frank, I've been quite busy out here in Brooklyn, New York, where I am now, but really the busyness came before then and currently and will continue to be, because that is the world we live in, a hustle and bustle kind of vibe going on here in New York City, but also beforehand to get here. If you want to be here, you got to hustle, period. Ta-da. There you go. Art Post Cove. Quite a strange title. I wonder what it means. Well, art being high, visual, low, performing. I already messed up the order. On the street, at a market, in a theater, wherever. There you go. That's art for you. It's a form of expression. If you didn't know before, go look up some essays. You can type it into Google, or if you're edgy, DuckDuckGo, which essentially means no tracking and completely free of Google bias if you are on the edgelord. There you go, the edgelord life. And then Post Cove. Post, a word meaning after, and Cove, standing for COVID-19. I hope you know what that means. If you don't, I want some of your drugs, because clearly I need them, because I would love to not know what COVID is, and I would love to live in a world where that's real. So there you go. That's what the title means. If that's all you were here for, you can now leave and know nothing else about this show. But if you felt captivated, keep listening, and maybe I will say something that will inspire you. So this show is ran by me, and I will be bringing multiple guests on. But let me introduce myself if you don't know me. I am Izaya. I grew up in a small town on the Canadian border called Blaine, Washington, and I lived in a couple places that all start with the letter B: Bellingham, Boston, Bloomington, Brooklyn. Wrap your head around that coincidence. My mother does not cease to remind me of that coincidence and would not let me move to any other neighborhood in New York City, or borough for that. There's another B. She's beat me again. The point being, I've only lived in B towns, but honestly, it's 100% coincidence and nothing else. So, with that in mind, dig a little more than just location, because I figured if you're watching the show, you might want to know a little more. Study opera. Just finished my degree at the Indiana University Jacobs School of Music. If you can say that fast 3 times, you win a cookie. Yeah, that's all I had there for that bit. I just finished that up, and my life has changed a lot because of COVID-19. Everyone else's has, or you've chosen to not let it affect you, and if so, you're probably spreading the virus, but me saying that, you probably don't care if you're spreading the virus. So there you go. Anyways, we are here to have conversations. We are here to make decisions. A quote that would fit an old drama teacher of mine. But he probably doesn't know. He's probably not listening to this podcast. But if you are, you know who you are. Mr. Man from New Jersey. Anyways, no shout-outs here. Just kidding. That's the whole idea of the show. So Art Post Cove is essentially an idea I thought of while I was rolling around in bed, realizing that there's nothing. There's no place for art in this world that has COVID, unless you're creative. And this is my way of contributing to that creative sauce. Point blank, you just gotta embrace the virtual, the online, the internet, the Wi-Fi's, all the things. But first, a word from not our sponsor, because this is not a sponsored podcast, but I need a drink. It's not alcoholic this time, but it is essential. It's a San Pellegrino. Every show I'm going to be drinking something, and since it's 9 o'clock at night, I am not going to be having coffee. Even though that would throw me a lot, I would not sleep. Also, since this is a solo podcast, there will be pauses in time. I'm not going to spit at you constantly because that would drive you insane and also myself. And I would run out of things to say and to say things stupid, which I've probably said many things like that already. So anyways, moving on. The journey of art post-COVID. Well, simple. It's a 3-part journey. It's a 3-part program. A 3-part program. The program is simple. What were you doing before COVID-19 hit? So essentially, what were you doing from January till the middle of March? And then what happened to you in all senses of the phrase? Where were you? What happened to your mental state? What changes happened? You know, what did you identify with during the quarantine and all such things? And how are you combating, which is the third part, the change of COVID-19 into your art? This is what I will be interviewing people on. If you have great interviewing suggestions, throw them into the comment section down below. If you have great tips or greatly awful things to say, leave them down below. YouTube doesn't care. You're just going to give me more views. So thank you for commenting, even if it is rude as shit. Which brings me to the most important thing, bridging the gap. And that what I mean by that is saying whatever the fuck you want about whatever the fuck you want. Now, of course, we don't need to be rude on this show, but I don't think swearing is rude, and I think we need to be able to swear wherever the fuck we want and talk about things the way we want and the way we feel is most organic to us. So, on with this fucking bullshit that is this show. Yeah, essentially, the idea is from not just a reporting and shouting out to people and interviewing people of what I've already stated, is to bridge the gap between your high-performing, let's go for my example, opera, which is very high-level art, I would say. It's very refined in its front, like, you know, the front that it puts on, you know. It's refined, it's, you know, big, dramatic emotion, everything like that. But why? It's loud, it's big stages, big music, big singers. Take that more than one way, if you so choose. But that's kind of dated. Building on that, we get down to the bottom of casual, you know? Indie music, which I don't think is very casual, but it is definitely, you don't have to go in a tux and talk about it and how great it is with saying, oh, the acoustics in the hall, they were lovely. They were great. No, you can just say, that was fucking rad, dude. So why can't we say that about, say, opera, or say ballet, or say classical music, or whatever other high form of that painting is fucking dope, you know? Things like that. Same time, why don't we dig deeper into and have deeper conversations about things more casual, like math rock. Love me some math rock. That's something I definitely got way more into during COVID because I had time. And shout out to my boy Cameron, who got me into math rock because shit's whack, but it's dope. Anyways, I'm going in circles. The point of this show is to show a side that the world has not reported about. You know, we have been left behind, artists, across this vast, awful pandemic. And there's been no help, really. There's been unemployment. But that's like, you have to fall into a very specific category. You have to prove that you were doing stuff. So this continues, I feel like. And if I am wrong, definitely feel free to educate me in the comments. But basically, from my understanding, is it's simple as if you did not prove that you had work in the industry. So if you're not booking gigs, you wouldn't get shit. And yeah. So, water break. with this show, we have the format. That was the word I was looking for earlier, and I could not find. Let's dig into my own version of the format, because I've already lost my place. But you signed up for this, and you're still here. So let's go. Format is very simple for me. I started 2021 with 3 shows to be a part of. I had a senior recital and graduate auditions. With that, there was a lot of preparation that I put in, and, I was just running a standard path of do my shows, build my resume, percolate, incubate, that's the word I'm looking for. Incubate my voice, do all these things that an opera singer should do, and wait till I'm old enough to be taken seriously, because that's how the opera industry works. That's right, folks. You pay a shitload of money, and yeah. Sorry, you got to be older. Now, obviously, there's more to it than just that, but that's a little bit part of it. There's a little bit of that. Fuck you. So, yeah. I digress. I made it through one show. It was incredible. Johnny Skiki. Shout out to the cast if you are listening. Love you all. Lovely show we did. Very funny. Lots of jokes. Lots of memes. Great meme dancing done by some folks in the cast during one of the big ensemble numbers. Loved it. Loved that forward momentum we have in our higher cavity up here. And then February went by. Now, let me be straightforward here. I had heard about COVID, but I was like, who knows? Could it really? I had heard about it from my boss, who, when I was working as a server, you have some downtime. He was very into the conspiracy stuff that's going around, have his own opinion about it, because why not? Keep yourself educated on everything. And showed us some videos, and I was like, there's no way. But secretly I had anxiety, and I stayed up a couple nights because of it, thinking, what if the world comes to this? What if these people turn into zombies and we have to fend for ourselves, survival of the fittest style? I'm glad that didn't happen, but who knows? Mutations are a thing. Thanks, UK. Point is, nothing was going on. We were doing our normal thing. I got sick for a while. The whole cast did. That wasn't coronavirus. Hindsight, it probably totally was, but that's not backed by science. That's backed by deductive reasoning. We only use that here at this show. If you like that, give it a like, because that's what you do when you like something, and it's on YouTube. But anyways, moving forward, we hit March. I have pulled in to New York City. Boom, first coronavirus case. So I'm like, this already feels awful and scary. And by the end of the week, I finished my graduate auditions. State of emergency in the state of New York. So we head back. We pretend life is normal when we know an impending doom is coming. So we put on the show, The Magic Flute. Quite a confusing show that I refuse to describe to you guys on here. Go to Wikipedia if you really want to know more about it. It's multifaceted and full of birds and sex. There you go. That's the Magic Flute. And a flute. Can't forget about the flute. But, yeah. Anyways, we go through the show. Get there on Friday of Tech Week, and guess what? Have to limit the audience. Indiana's just taking precautions. They're just like, just got to be careful. We don't know what's going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. Little would we know that, like, a few days later, lockdown announced. So we close the show, and we don't see the rest of the semester. It is all virtual, and the world has been changed for good. Now, clicking on this, you already knew that. So, what gives? What happened? Well, my third show was canceled because why? The coronavirus, if you didn't put it together. And then also, My senior recital was also canceled, but so many else. Yeah, we're saying smart things today. So many other people's things were canceled. Everything. And let's be real here. That took a hit on mental health. Everyone in this country had a mental health hit. I don't care who you are. You felt it in your noggin. Yeah. Them brain cells, them chemicals were not right. And you most certainly didn't know what to do. And so, with all this free time you had, you did everything. Because you didn't have time before, and now you do. So you went outside more. You ran maybe a little bit, but you stayed inside. You watched YouTube. You watched a lot of YouTube. Probably TikTok. TikTok, too, was a big one. That was a big one. Tiger King. Just trying to hit all the marks here. But yeah, no, so that's what you did. And for me, that's a lot of what I did. For me, I moved around a lot. I went back and forth from home, and home as in Washington State, where I grew up, with family, and Indiana, where I had a lease and where all my shit was, and I was going to have to get it eventually. So me returning there was inevitable. But yeah, and I also didn't know if I was going to graduate or not, or ultimately it didn't matter. I didn't want to renew a lease. I went back and forth, and it was a struggle, and it was really hard. And that's the story of most people. Well, you most likely stayed because you did what you're supposed to, but not everyone can do that. And when you want to have a better relationship with your family and spend time that you wouldn't have, that's what you do. Even though that's questionable. None of my family was too old that I stayed with, so I was pretty safe. But with that came, a lot of new hobbies. Everyone wanted to bake bread. Lots of bread baking. I never got on that train because I hate baking. I'm sorry if I'm offending you right now. I'm not a big fan of baking. I can't do it. I don't have the patience for it. I can barely cook my own meals. And of the things that changed, I became vegan, and so cooking for myself was crucial. And it's still a hassle, and living in Brooklyn, New York makes it a lot easier. But anyways, of the things I picked up and put down, photography with this camera that I'm recording on, haven't used it really that much since I initially got it. I just started exercising consistently. I started eating better. I went from pescatarian to vegetarian and eventually become vegan. Shout out to my friend Tormy, my friend Danira, who both inspired me to eat better in Berlin, and then other friends who came along to push me further in those directions. I never thought I'd go vegan, and here I am, because why not? I'm going strong since I turned 22 not too long ago. But yeah, the point being is a lot of us, in the point of this middle section, is a lot of us changed a lot as people, and a lot of us reevaluated what was important to us. For me, in a terror situation, going home and being with family was a big thing that I found more value in than I had in the past. My physical well-being and health I took a greater look at that and built upon that to cultivate a better and healthier me, because we are in a world pandemic. You should be more healthier because you have more chances of dying. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does, kind of, if you can put it together. And yeah, so that's exactly what I did. Other people have changed a lot of themselves that we will dig deeper into. But essentially, this leads me to the final segment of what my idea for this podcast was to be, and is, what is the cool thing that you're doing that brings your art to this new table that we are sitting at, which is the world where COVID is a part of it. Now, you can live in whatever world you want to live in and say that we are going to go back to full normal, but I just think that is just some upper level wishful thinking that is not realistic in any stretch. There's going to be a lot of changes post-COVID. We're still in it, but the effects of it are ever permanent. We have a vaccine, but this is not going to be over in 2021. I don't personally believe it. And you can debate me in the comments down below. But art will never be the same. Life will never be the same. All these companies that live in New York have moved away or relocated. But here's the thing. None of them are going to pay for these office buildings anymore. They can do this all via a computer. They don't need to spend money that they don't need. Also, another thing that's huge is people have learned that you don't need to be in one place to interact with a lot of people and to have an influence on people. That's why New York has emptied out a lot of these higher level people that make a fuckload of money because they don't actually need to be here. They just need to be able to get within the area. So a lot of people have moved within 2 hours. A lot of companies have moved, say, to Florida or Texas because, taxes and regulations and taxes and, wealth of living and taxes. I think it's really a lot of taxes. But the point being is this world has changed. I don't think we're going back to normal, and the future changes to these things, especially to art, is crucial to the survival of these mediums that we have chosen to, the artists have chosen to pursue and stay in at this point. Because if you've decided to do something else, you've already decided, most likely. A good majority, a lot of these companies say they're not doing anything until 2022, if not 2023, 2024, when we see potential economic growth in the U.S. So I have decided to take it upon myself with the tools that I have been given from my degree to, one, realize my strengths. And I know I can talk in circles for hours. And I can facilitate good conversation. I feel like that's up for you to decide, but I have confidence in my ability, I suppose, at least here on this form and about what I'm in the know about. So I'm doing this podcast, and I am going to be talking with many other people and also other projects I'm working on with other collaborators that I'm really thrilled about. That is what we are going to be doing here. And that is how I have adapted. And that, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever, is the format. Life before, how you changed in most every facet, however that is, and then what you've done about it. Because at the end of the day, this shit is going to be sink or swim. And if you don't adapt, you're not going to survive. And so we need to be out there and we need to help people out. Another big thing that brought me this idea was the fact that we all shared a bunch of artists on Instagram just cause, and that did fucking nothing. That was such a, I'm pretty sure I did it, but looking back, hindsight, that was such a shallow, shitty excuse of sharing art with other people. You're not saying things, if you're going to do shit on Instagram, you have to do things that'll work with the algorithm. You can't just post a bunch of artists and say, everyone follow these people and then they'll follow you. That's not how that works. That just won't do anything on this platform. So I got the idea from that because I'm like, how can we expand that? That's a great idea. It's good in intention, but what could be another great way? And that is what I've come up with. We are going to, here at Outpost Cove, we are going to talk with people, talk about what they're doing, what's so great about it, and how they plan to forge a way into the future. And that's the show. If there is anything else you want to know about me, leave those down in the comments down below, good or bad. I get more, speed to my channel. Inflation. No, that's not the word at all. I get more traffic to my channel because you commented on it. YouTube doesn't tell me if it's bad or not. They don't care. They just want to know it gets likes and comments because it's a system. It's an algorithm. It doesn't have feelings. So, yeah, let me know down below if you enjoyed this. Click the like and hit subscribe. Tell me what you thought. And thank you so much for staying through. I'm shocked, but hopefully you return and you enjoy some of our future conversations. I've got a lot of great people lined up that I'm really excited to interview and talk about the great things they're doing to talk about, to show and spread this great environment that we are trying to cultivate here in this world post this virus. Thank you so much. Godspeed. Peace.